All right, so continuing my restaurant series here, just as there's been a lot of news about restaurants recently, you can see here that 41 locations of Outback Steakhouse, Carrabba's, I've never heard of that place, I may be mispronouncing that, Italian Grill, Bonefish Grill, and Fleming's to close. Now, when I originally saw this, it was saying that 41 Outback Steakhouse locations were closing, but since it's become more clear, it's not just Outback, but it is within the portfolio of the ownership of these brands. Now I have not eaten at an Outback Steakhouse. I think there's better steak places, just based on how Outback has been marketed and stuff. It seems very cheap to a degree, but, I've eaten places like Texas T-Bone, which sadly they've kind of joined together with Famous Dave's, which I think was kind of a downgrade for them, but I understand costs and stuff. This one is kind of difficult, and I'll pull up another screen here in a minute because the excuses used for what they're doing, because this is going to cost people jobs, and it really is ridiculous that this is ongoing. And I hate it because these companies think that they somehow have like the silver bullet to making just infinite profit, and you'll see why I'm saying that in just a minute. Let me pull up another image here. So you can see here that it says fans of Outback Steakhouse may be surprised to see that the local restaurant permanently closed. And then Blooming Brands revealed in an earnings call on Friday that it closed 41 underperforming locations across the brands it owns, including Carrabba's. I think we have one where I'm at here, but I've never been. Carrabba's Italian Grill, Bonefish Grill, and Fleming's. And then these articles are weird because a lot of them are not including the Outback Steakhouse portion, but it is in there. If you look up the closures, it's there. Now, they say in here, I'm reading from the screen here because my face is covering where I'm reading, and you guys can take a look. I'll cover myself up there to take a look real quick and pause if you need, but there are the details there. And they're saying that there are a variety of factors, including sales, shrinking customer traffic, financial investments that were too costly to improve locations, plus majority of these restaurants were older assets with leases from the early 90s, from the 90s and early 2000s. So while I do believe there's some legitimacy in that, I don't think they're going to reopen anything. So I understand the aging leases, maybe the properties they can't do much with, but underperforming is always an excuse that I see that never is something that's solid. I know there's plenty of business people like, well, if you have a restaurant and it's not doing that well, you have to close the location because it's just not making the same sales. But are they looking at pricing? Have they changed the menu? Like, what things have they done really meaningfully to make a change in this, right? And that's the thing is, like, you see other companies that are, and I don't know if I covered this one yet because there's been a lot of restaurant news, but that are doubling down on bad decisions. So Red Lobster was bought by, I think, a Taiwanese company a while back, and I may have that wrong, but they were bought out by a foreign company. So it was no longer an American company. And then they were doing the endless shrimp still, and they lost a few $1 million because people took advantage of that. And instead of like removing that or limiting it, or they've tried to increase pricing, they just keep doing the endless shrimp and like it's permanent. And it's like, you guys are like going to go out of business because you're literally making bad decisions. And there's better things they can do. There really are, but they're just not doing them. It seems like this is just the trend with CEOs and restaurants, making bad decisions, blaming the customers, and then blaming the employees, but not blaming the decisions they're making, the CEOs are making. So if they go, I'm not going to be sad for it, but I understand some people have this restaurant as a staple of, things they enjoy and things they do. So we'll see what happens. But what are your thoughts on this? Are there any of the restaurants you're aware of that are making changes that are maybe undesirable that you don't like? I've already talked about a change Wendy's was doing in a previous video, and I talked about something Burger King was doing that was kind of good. Burger King was doing something good, and McDonald's may potentially be doing something good. Burger King also did something kind of bad. That's an early video. Go check that one out when it's out to see it. It should be out before this video. But yeah, a lot of restaurant news coming just beginning of the year. A lot of things we're seeing that are quite interesting. I wonder what will still be here by the end of 2024. It looks like we may be losing quite a few businesses just due to crappy CEO management of these places. So again, what are your thoughts, guys?